Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, The Lens India Professional Photography. So I'm planning to make the videos related to mastering Lightroom CC, and I'll be covering various topics related to Lightroom and various editing techniques which are going to be the part of these videos. And I'm sure that these videos will be very helpful for all those people who are willing to learn the Lightroom. And of course, since this will be the video where I'll be explaining every aspect of the Lightroom in detail, so definitely all cannot be covered in the one video itself. So I'm planning to release these videos on the every Thursday evening, so that you can really take the benefit of these videos and try to basically learn the Lightroom in the best possible way. So if you have not subscribed my channel, so I would like to request you please subscribe the channel so that you get the notification of the videos, and not only subscribe but also hit the bell icon so that you get the notification as soon as the video is released on the YouTube. So without any further ado, let's start with our today's session of the Lightroom. And in this particular video, I'll be touching upon the overview of the Lightroom, where you can say the quick start of the Lightroom. Probably and there might be some community who would be basically interested in knowing the overall recap or the overall quick start of the Lightroom. So where in a very short explanation, I would try to touch upon the each aspects of the Lightroom, which will include right from the importing of the video, importing of the photos, till the editing and the exporting of the photos on your hard drives. So this is the screen what is normally available when you open the Lightroom CC. So you can see on the top, you will see that there are some menus which are lined up. Below that, you will see that there are the tabs, various different tabs on the left hand side of the panel. Also, there will be some tabs aligned vertically on the right hand side of the panel, and on the left hand side top you will see that there are various modules related to the Lightroom. So which is the library module, develop module, map, book, slideshow, print and web. So majority we will be working with the when we are editing the images in the Lightroom, we will be working with the library and the develop module. But of course, in my future videos, I'll be touching upon the map, book, slide, print and web respectively. And at the bottom you will see that there is a blank space horizontally placed at the bottom of the screen. So this is nothing but we call it as a film strip. So when we import any of the photos in the Lightroom, we are able to see the photos whatever has been imported for the editing purpose. So now quickly let's start with the process of the editing in the Lightroom. So whenever we are capturing any photos in RAW with our cameras, so definitely those needs some post-processing and enhancement, because the RAW file itself does not look that handsome, and that is why it is very essential to edit those photos and enhance those photos so that they start appearing more dynamic and more interesting. So once you open the Lightroom, definitely the photos are not going to get imported automatically. So how do we import that first? So there are various options how we can import. So one way is that we go to the file and we come here and we can import with the import photos and videos. Of course, the shortcut key for this is the Control Shift plus I when you are using Windows. This is one way where we can import the photos whatever we have shot in the camera. The another way is to import the photos when you are in the library module. So you will get this import button over here. But if you go to the develop module, the import button will not be available here, and you can see even the screen changes. So whenever we are importing any of the photos in the Lightroom, we have to be necessarily in the library module. So let's do it quickly. So we click the import button and you will see that one screen pops up. So as you see that on the left hand side, we have the information about the drives which are connected on my PC, and on the right hand side also you will see there are some tabs where the various options are available, including the storing of these files. So if you see on the top of the file of the screen, you can see that this Lightroom is connected to the card actually, and this is the direct camera XQD card which it got connected, and it is reading the photos from that particular card. And you can also see in the middle, you can see the copy as DNG option, copy, and you can see the move and add options are disabled. So if the your computer detects your XQD card or SD card from where you want to import the photos, so these two options, copy as DNG and the copy, will be enabled, and rest two options will be disabled. So what does this two option means? So copy as DNG means basically it is nothing but the digital negative which is developed by the Adobe. This is the universal raw file, what we can say in short. So some people would like to copy their images raw files as copy as DNG in the Lightroom, or they can directly copy the raw as it is. So you have this one option available, that how to import the photo. So if you select the copy option, and if you want to import, the raw file will be getting uploaded in the Lightroom for processing as it is. If you select this option as copy as DNG, the raw file, instead of the file getting copied as raw, that is in case of, for example, Nikon, if it is raw then it is NEF, or if it is Canon it is CR. So it will not be copied as NEF or CR, it will get copied as DNG. So we can select either of these options the way we want. Both are equally good. And now again, if you see all the photos which are shown over here, the previews which are shown over here, so you can see that there is a check mark which is available. So what does this check mark mean? So this check mark basically means that whatever the photos are having check mark, those are selected for importing those photos into the Lightroom. So this is simply the understanding. So if you don't want to select any of the photos to be imported into the Lightroom, you can just uncheck that by clicking the photo, and that photo particular will not get imported into the Lightroom. But if you want all the photos to be imported, you need to basically have the check mark available on the photo. So this is the quick preview available over here. On the left hand side, what you can see, as I mentioned, on the top of the pop-up, you will see that my camera card is getting selected. Another option what you have, that if you have any drives which are attached to your PC, so those are also getting connected. And if you want to import photos from that particular folder, so you can go to that source folder wherever your photos are stored, and you can import into the Lightroom. For example, now I have my photos stored on the D drive, which is the hard drive of my computer. And for example, if I have to import the photos from particularly say this folder, so this folder will have a subfolder, and then it will start showing me the photos over here if you have the photos. If you don't have the photos, then probably you will have to first import the photo into your folder, and then you can import those photos into the Lightroom. So let's look at the another folder, for example. So again, I have a folder which is available on the hard drive, and now if I click on the subfolder, you can see that all the photos have started appearing in the Lightroom the same way what we had. Okay, so this is the one way you can directly import from your hard drive. But now if you can see the difference when your camera card is connected to your PC, what were the options, and now when we are starting to import the photos from our hard drives directly, so now this move and add option has been enabled. Also we have the options of copy as DNG and copy which was originally available when the camera card is connected. So we can select either of these options. So my practice, if you ask me, so normally I don't directly import from the camera card to the Lightroom. So first I usually add the photos from Lightroom from my XQD card to the hard drive, and from hard drive then I import it into the Lightroom. So I find that way as a very comfortable way for myself to avoid any confusions. So that is how the import can be done in various aspects. So now I already have the photos which are already uploaded on the hard drive from my XQD card. So let's import this file. So just before we import this file, so we have some options like on the right hand side, that is the file handling and apply during the import. So if we go to the file handling tab, so let's try to see this file handling tab. So we have certain options available. So the first is the build previews. So when you click on this build previews, you will see that there are four options. One is minimal, embedded and the sidecar, standard, and 1:1. So what does this option means? So preview becomes more and more bigger when we move from minimal to 1:1. So when we are on the minimal, the preview is basically requiring a very less space on the Lightroom, and it will also basically take longer time when you actually want to process the photos. But when you go for 1:1 ratio, in that case, the preview will take the bigger space on the Lightroom catalogs, and it will actually, because it has already taken the bigger space for the preview, it will render quickly when we want to process the Lightroom image. So, but usually the default option what is selected is standard. So, I would like to keep this as a standard. Then you can see that there is an option as don't import suspected duplicates. So if you enable this option, so if you already have imported something from your hard drive, okay, and if this option is enabled, that is check marked, so that will basically help us not to copy again the same image or import the same image into the Lightroom. So that's why this option I would prefer to have it enabled. So rest of the options you will see subsequently when I'm making the videos in detail. The next is tab which is available is the applying imports. So when we are going to import the photos in the Lightroom, so we have some options available that how do we want to import these photos. So there are certain presets which are available. So as soon as the photos are imported, those presets will get applied to your photos and they will do the post processing on the photos with the help of this developed settings. But definitely I do not wish that Lightroom should apply these presets and develop my process automatically without my intervention. So I will prefer to keep it as none. Then another option what is available is the metadata. So metadata is that you can have so many options created over here by creating the new presets. So metadata is nothing but you can create your own, for example, copyright details, contact details, and you can, when you are importing the photos into the Lightroom, those will get attached to the photos. So as of now, I'll keep it none, and in subsequent videos, I will explain how those presets for the metadata can be created. Apart from this, one of the beautiful feature of the Lightroom is that you can add keywords so that whenever you want to search those photos, you can search those photos with the help of keywords. Now you can see that I have the pictures which are ready for the import into Lightroom. So I can add like keywords like wildlife. I can add location like, for example, say Kanha National Park. Then I can maybe add some more keywords about, like, say, if I want to add the year 2021 and so on and so forth. So you can just add multiple keywords so that that will help you in searching those photos whenever you need. And when you add multiple keywords, you just need to add the comma, give the space and add the new keyword. So this is the way what we are going to add the keywords in the Lightroom. So I'm not adding any keywords because I don't need in my workflow to find my images as per the keywords. So this is just for the information I'm sharing with this with you, because in case if you feel that you want to add the keywords and search the images in Lightroom, that can be beneficial for you. So this was about the panel available on the right hand side. Then on the bottom side, you can see that there are various views which are available on the strip. So you have a grid view, you have a full view. So you can get the full view available, and you can scroll the images. And you can also see that whether do you want to include this image in the import, or you want to exclude this. If you put the check mark, the image will be included in the import. If you want to exclude this, you just have to remove the check mark. So this is just an idea. And now you see that when I'm hovering the cursor over the symbols of this on the left hand corner, so if I want again the grid view, I just have to press the word G. If I want to go for the full view or the loop view, I just have to press E, and the image will change into the single image which will be filling the screen. So I'll just press the G and I'll go to the grid view. Then how do you want to sort these images? Do you want to sort these images based on capture time, checked state, file name, file type, media, whatever it may be? So if you want to capture it by the file name, you can capture it by the file name. So already the sequence is available based on the file name. So if you want to capture it based on the time, again it will be captured based on the time. But now in my case, I have picked up the series of images one after other, so that is why the sequence is not changing, but you can sort the images accordingly. So as of now, I'll keep it off. Then again, you will see that there is some slider available for the thumbnails, what you are seeing right now. So if you move it to the right, the thumbnails will become bigger. If you move it to the left, the thumbnails will become smaller. So this is how this slider will help us in viewing the images. And then it will also show on the top of the strip that how many photos have been selected. So it will show you the count that now for this we have 15 photos to be imported into the Lightroom. And it will also show what is the space that is basically contributing for this 15 photos. So this is roughly around 1 GB of the space what is going to be consumed for these photos. Then again, we have something called as a small strip over there as import presets. So import presets, you can have the options of none. If you have the presets created, you can apply those presets. If you don't want to, if you want to restore the defaults, it can go for the default, and the default is right now nothing. Since nothing has been created, it is none. So once everything is, once we have finalized that which photos we want to import, we can import the photos as soon as we are ready once after our finalization. So now in this particular case, I am ready for the import and I have selected the option as add. I want to add these photos into the Lightroom directly. When I am saying this add as photos into the Lightroom, that does not mean that my hard disk photos are going to get cut and pasted in the Lightroom. My photos in the hard disk will continue to remain in hard disk, but these photos as a raw file will get added into the Lightroom. So that is the point what we need to remember over here. And I'll just quickly hit the button import. So now the import process has been started. You can see that the progress bar is moving on over here, and once the import is done, the progress bar over here will vanish. Okay, so now it is creating a preview. So already the import has been done. It is creating a standard previews over here, and now you can see the images have lined up in the film strip at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so once the photos are imported, if you expand this navigator option or the tab, you can see the photo on which the cursor is placed is shown over here. So if I select the photo, then even the preview of the image will change at this navigator tab. Then we have something like catalogs. So of course we will see what is the function of the catalogs in details in future videos. As of now, I am not going to touch upon any of these tabs which are available here. On the right hand side, if you see right hand side panel, again if you click on this panel, you will see the histogram of the photos what we have captured. So if you click on the each photos, you will see what type of histogram we are getting for what type of photos. And this is basically available with the module called as a library module. So once we import the photos, they will by default go and sit into the library module. And then at the bottom of the screen, again, you will see that there are some symbols. So again, the grid view is available. So if we hit G, the grid view will be enabled. If we hit E, that is the loop view, we can see the image what is available over here. Again, if you press G, again the grid view will be available. Then this is the compare view available. So we will see again that into the details what is the compare view. Again, survey view and then the people view will be available, and we are going to see all the options in details that how these options are working. So again, on the right hand panel, coming back to the right hand panel, we have the settings for the quick develop. But usually my practice is that I do not use this quick develop setting over here. Then again, keywords, this remains the same function, that whatever keywords we want to add as a tags, we can add the keywords based on our requirement. Now, because of the AI, we can also get the suggestions for the keywords from this software. And we can set the keywords for like based on various genres of our photography, that wedding photography, portrait photography, and so on and so forth. And we can even create our own set for the photos. This is one thing what we can see. Then keyword list, whatever the available for people, others, we can get all that data available. And the metadata what we would like to basically import when we are not import, I'm sorry, we want to attach to the photograph when we are exporting the photos to the Lightroom. Okay, so as of now we will try to keep it none. So again we will touch upon this point. So now, since the import is already done in our Lightroom, so we can now quickly jump into the develop module to process the photos what we want. So I am just selecting the photo number 5 and I'll go to the develop module. So now when we have shifted this module from library to develop module, then again you see that the screen has got changed. So the panels on the left and right have got slightly changed. So the navigator panel remains the same on the left hand side. And if you want to see the screen or the photo matching to the screen, then you can click the fit option, and then you can even change whether fill, or you can even change the percentage the way you want. So this is the option what we would like to basically see at times. But right now we will not focus on this. I know I am saying this again and again, but because just this is a brief video for the quick start of the Lightroom. So we would mainly focus on importing and some fine adjustments of the photo, basic editings of the photos, and then exporting those photos. So now when we are into develop model, definitely we see the histogram which is available on the right hand side panel. Then below we have some tools, so crop tools, then spot removal tool, then red eye correction tool, and the masking. So masking may be required when we are doing some local editings on the photographs. So below this we have the profile. So we have Adobe color profiles which are available, which are already inbuilt into the Lightroom. So we can select the profile whatever we want. For example, if you are selecting the landscape, so it will change the landscape, the profiles accordingly. And I would like to keep it as it is as Adobe color. And one more thing I just want to bring it to your notice, that on the left hand side panel you see the steps what we are taking for the editing are getting recorded over here in the Lightroom. So the first thing what we did was the import of the photograph. Then the second step which was done for the changing of the Adobe profiles, and again we regained the Adobe color profile as it is. Before this Adobe color profile, so if you see something in between where I'm highlighting or hovering my cursor, so how would you like to give the treatment to your photos? So you want to keep the photos in color, or whether you want to change the photos to the black and white. So if you want to change the photos in the black and white and then post process, you can select the black and white option. But if you want to keep it into the color, then again you can continue with the color as it is. Also, if you see the grid, 4 squares which are available over here, and if you click on this grid, so you can see the presets which are available. and you can select the presets which are available based on your liking. So you have various presets which are available, and the moment you hover on each of the presets, it will change the it will give you the preview of the each presets. And if you like that particular preset, you can go ahead and click that preset and select the photograph. But as of now, we are not going to use any presets. So so if you want to close this grid, you just have to click the close over here, and it will not process anything further. Then in this basic tab, you will see that this is the section related to the white balance. If you are shooting raw, then it becomes easy for you to change the white balance. But if you are shooting in JPEG, whatever the white balance has been set in your camera, so that gets baked into the photograph, and it becomes really difficult for you again to change the white balance in the Lightroom. And that is why it is always recommended that we shoot our images in RAW, so that we can apply whatever the white balance we want to have it. So if I do it auto, it will start changing the look and feel of the photograph. So, but as of now, I would like to keep it as a setting as short. Then again, you can see a dropper over here. This dropper is nothing but if you want to do some specific white balance setting, so you just have to hover the dropper over the areas where you have a mid-tone gray, and based on that mid-tone gray area, you just go ahead and click. Suppose, for example, if you are finding this as a mid-tone gray area, then you can go ahead and click on this particular area, and you can see that the white balance has changed. But if you, so for example, if you feel that the white balance what got selected is not really helping you, so you can press the Control Z key, and which will undo the editing what has got applied to the image. Another that when we are playing with the white balance, you have these two sliders available to change the color temperature of your image, or also as well as a tint which are applicable for which you want to apply for this image. And if you want to reset this, so you double click this particular legend, the settings will get reset. So this is how if you want to undo any of the sliders and regain its original position, you just have to double click the labels which are available for each sliders. Then below that you can see there are various sections, and in those sections you will find that there are various sliders which are available. So we have primarily tone, and we have the presence. So you can start editing based on how you want to edit. You also have the option of auto. So if you click auto, you will see the Lightroom has changed all the sliders and have enhanced the image. But if you don't want, you can again press it Control Z, and you can regain its position again. If we start with the slider, you can, if you feel that your exposure is not correct, you can slide in this exposure slider, and you can adjust your exposure in the Lightroom. The next we have the contrast. So contrast is something what I would like to set this slider at the end of the process once my highlight, shadows, color correction has been done. Another thing, you can see that there are sliders related to highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. So if you feel that you have too many highlights and you need to bring down those highlights, you can completely slide down this highlights to the minus side. If you want to bring up the highlights, you can slide the slider to the right hand side. And if you want to reset it, you can either double click on this dot, or you can also double click on the highlights. Then again, with respect to the shadows, if you want to bring up the shadows or bring down the shadows, if you want to bring down the shadows, slide it to the left side. If you want to bring up the shadows, slide it to the right side. And this is if you are opening the shadows, dark areas. So you can slide it to the plus side, to the right side of the slider. So this is one of the way to control your highlights and shadows. Now, another thing is that whites and blacks. Okay, so now suppose in this particular image, how do we control the whites and blacks? Suppose if I'm pressing the Alt key or Option key on the Mac, so and if I press while pressing the Alt key or Option key, and if I click on this slider, you will see that there is some white spot which is being appear. The screen has turned black, and you can see that there are some white patches with the red dots in between. So what does that mean? That means in that particular area there are no details available. So that part has got clipped. Okay, so if I'm seeing the red color, that means the red channel has got clipped. If I'm seeing the white color, that means all red, green and blue channel has been clipped. So in that case, I would definitely would like to pull back this white slider till the point it vanishes. Now, in spite of basically pulling it to extreme left, still there are some white dots which are available. So in that case, again by continuing pressing the Alt, I'll try to pull down the highlights, and then I'll try to recover the details which are available. So if I want to see the before after effect, I just have to hit the backslash key, and you can see the before and after. You can see at the corner over here, this is the before and this is the after. So this is how I control the blown out highlights or shadows in the raw. So this is the beauty of shooting it in the raw, that you can control your highlights and shadows, or you can bring back those details in the highlights as well as in the shadows if you're shooting it in raw. Had it been a JPEG image, it would have been difficult, or it would have been not possible rather, to recover all those details. The same way we work with the blacks. So I press the Alt key and I press on this slider, and now you see that the screen has turned white and I don't see any black dots. Now if I start moving towards the left, then you will see that some black dots and some color is appearing, color dots are appearing. So that means I have started losing the details in those particular areas. So I would not like to do that. So I'll reset this sliders once again, this slider once again. Then below the tone section, you will see that there are something sliders which are related to the presence. So these sliders basically, like when we want to add the texture, clarity, dehaze, vibrance, saturations. So we can play with these sliders. So if you enlarge the image and if you want to add the texture, so if you start moving this to the right, you start adding the texture to the image, but at the same time it will start adding the noise in the image also if you are shooting at the high ISOs. Then again, clarity, if you see, clarity is something that when we are basically playing with the slider, it will adjust the contrast which is related to the mid-tones. So you can see how the clarity is getting added. Okay, so if you want to add the clarity, just make sure that you don't add it too much, otherwise the image starts looking very grungy and very unrealistic. So we have to take a call how much to slide and adjust the values of each slider. This dehaze is that suppose if you are having any haze in the photograph, you can try to remove the haze in the photograph by applying this slider. So this is the function of the dehaze. Now another thing, we have two more sliders, that is the vibrance and the saturation. So what does the meaning of vibrance and saturation means? So when we are with the playing with the vibrance slider, so it will increase the saturation of overall colors in the image which are not saturated, and it will leave those colors which are already heavily saturated. So this is the basically vibrance. What does is, now if I slide this slider to the right, you will see that the image is getting the colors in the image are getting more vibrant and saturated. But now if I try to slide the saturation, you will see that it is much more, it is getting saturated than the vibrance slider. So I'll just reset this and I'll just try to adjust the slider just little bit slightly so that the colors of the image are little bit saturated and try appearing little bit vibrant. So it is up to your taste how much to do the adjustment and set the values. So this is all what we did with the first basic tab, and if you see the before and after, you can see the change which is happening before and after. And if you want to see the two image side by side comparison, you just press and hit the Y key on your keyboard, and you will see the images side by side before and after. Again, if you don't want to have this comparison, you can just press the Y key. It will regain the whole screen position. So this was about the basic tab or basic adjustments what we can do in the Lightroom. Now, coming back to the rest of the tabs, we will basically touch upon these tabs one by one in future, so that we cover every aspect of these tabs in details. Now, probably when you open the Lightroom, you may feel that there are various tabs are not available. So you just do a right click, and you can basically show all, and if something is really missing, if you hide this will go hidden. So you can customize your develop panel what all tabs you want. If you, for example, if I disable this and save it, you will see that my basic tab has gone. And if I right click it again, and if I want to say show all, again the basic panel, basic tab will appear in the panel. So this is what is about the right hand side panel and developing our image in the Lightroom. Now let's assume that we have already developed or edited our image. So now you can see when we imported the image, there was nothing much available, and the way we started editing the image, all the history got recorded. And now one thing I would like to highlight in this particular Lightroom, that whenever the images are getting edited in the Lightroom, so this will apply uh, on the layers, layer patterns. Okay, this will not get applied to your raw file directly. So the layers will be created, and this is why it is called as a non-destructive type of editing. And wherever your raw file is stored on your hard disk, so that will remain unimpacted. And as long as you don't delete any of this editing history, so, and even if you close the Lightroom, so this will continue to show whenever you open the Lightroom, unless you delete it. So this will be the lifelong change what will be done on shown in the Lightroom. So, but at the same time, it will not impact your any of the raw files in the background. So this is why it is called as a non-destructive type of editing. So now let's see how to export this photo. Now you have to go to the file, and when you go to the file, you have option called as export. The shortcut key is Control Shift E in case of Windows, or Command Shift E in case of Mac if you are using Mac. So you just click the button export, and once you click the button export, you see various options available here, that where you would like to export this image. So you can choose the destination folder wherever you want. So let's take example, I want to export this image into the folder called as photos. If you want to put something in subfolders and all those things, we will cover up again in details in our subsequent video. Then next tab is related to the file naming, whether you want to rename this file or whether you want to keep it as it is. If you want to rename the file, you can rename the file. If it is the video, you will have the videos option enabled. Then in file settings, you can have various options like how you want to import JPEG, PSD, TIFF, PNG or DNG, or you want to export it as original. So the JPEG can be, if it is JPEG, you can select the JPEG. Make sure the quality is at the 100. Color space, you have various color space. You can by and large select the sRGB for the digital media. If you want to limit the file size, you can enable this option so that you can limit the size of the file to that particular bits. But I don't want to limit it as of now, so I am removing that option. Then if you scroll down in the image settings, if you want to again change the pixel dimensions, horizontal and vertical dimensions, you can enable this. If you don't want to do it, you can disable it. So the original pixels which the image is, so I'll just show this before we export. So if you see on the left hand corner of the image, you will see the file name. you will see the date on which it was captured, on which it was captured, and the size of the file. So it was like 8256 by 5504. So if I press I button, I for India. So the information will change. It will also show me the settings, at what shutter speed, what aperture, what ISO image was shot, and at what focal length the image was shot. If I press I again, the information will vanish. So the same thing when we are going to export. So we were on this particular tab of image sizing. So if you want to resize that image lesser than whatever the size of the image is, you can resize the image, or maybe higher. That is fine. If you don't want to do it, just keep it disabled. And resolution, you make sure that this is 300 dpi if you want to capture the download the high resolution file. Otherwise, you can change it to, if you want to download this file for the Instagram, Facebook, or any social media, you can change this resolution to 72 dpi or ppi. Okay, then next is about the sharpening out of the output. So I never do any sharpening from here. I do sharpening in Lightroom itself. So you can keep it as it is. Then the last, this factor is the metadata. Then metadata is what are the EXIF information or the copyright information, location information. If you want to capture it, you can select the options which are available over here. So I prefer to keep it all metadata. If you want to add the watermark, you can add the watermark. This also we will cover in our subsequent videos. And now the last option what is remaining is post-processing. When you are exporting this image, what do you want to do? So you want to show it in Explorer, you want to show it in Photoshop, or you want to show it in any other application. So I don't want to do anything, so I'll keep it do nothing, and then I'll hit export. And you can see there is a progress bar on the left hand corner when the image is getting exported to your hard drive. So once this is done, this export bar will complete and vanish. And if I go to the folder where we have stored photos, you will see that the image is edited over here. The edited image is now you can see in your computer wherever you have stored the image. So this is about a quick start of the Lightroom, what we can say, and probably that might have given you the good insights about the panels and the features of the Lightroom. And in our subsequent video, we will again see into the details that what are the various options we have for the imports, how do we organize our images when we are managing with the large number of files. When I say large, that means where the count of the photos are very high. How we exclude those images we don't want to exclude, how we include those images we want to include. So this process is called as culling and organizing, and so on and so forth. We will be touching upon separately in each different videos. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, that I will be releasing the videos on every Thursday evening on each different topic. Probably this might be the longest video of the total series, and I'm expecting to have the series of videos to the extent of 25, somewhere between 25 to 30 videos. So if you have still not subscribed my channel, so I request you to subscribe the channel so that you get the notification also, and you are able to watch my videos and don't miss any of the videos. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.